Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Sex with Robin. I am a bit of a hot mess. I do want to apologize just straight up. Yes, I have a cold, so my voice is a little gruff. I sound a lot worse than I feel. So please be patient with my voice, and I'm going to try not to hack and cough. I do have a cold. It's a cold. I've been tested. It's a cold. But yes, welcome. Happy Monday. Welcome to Sex with Robin on Split Radio. Yes, that's me. My name is Robin Beach. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a former stripper, former pro-dom, former nurse with experience in psychology, cardiology, and sexual health. And I'm here with, oh, his head's cut off. I love his head is cut off right by the little logo there. That's Pete the zombie. And apparently he's not wanting to show his face today. Oh, yes, Peter says, welcome back. Thank you. Yes, I know I took some time off for spring break. I was actually out of town. We went to the United States, oh my goodness, for the first time since COVID. And we spent our time at our family cabin, which was absolutely amazing. Honestly, just being out of the house. And I'm a bit of a forest fairy. I'm not one for sunshine. I'm actually allergic to the sun and a lot of heat, but I do love the outdoors. So I kind of call myself a forest fairy. I love forestry and rocks, and it was good for the soul. And we were able to have all of my kids and their cousins, the family got together and all the cousins could play, and it was great. But of course, when you put a bunch of children together, all the germs. So I'm blaming the children for my cold, and that's okay because it was worth it. So yes, thank you. I almost didn't come today because I was like, oh, I sound really gruff, but I was like, I don't want to skip out. I like doing this, so here I am. Good afternoon. Yes, depending where you are from, it might be afternoon in your time. I am located in Vancouver, Canada, on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish and Musqueam Indigenous tribes. So it is Pacific time here. It is just after 10 o'clock in the morning for me. Wherever you are, good afternoon, good morning, good night. And hope you feel better. Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying really hard to, all the hot liquids, basically, just for my throat, all the honey and the lemon, all that stuff. So yes, welcome. Today, I was thinking, basically, I really wanted to go over the things that I'm going to use the word muggles, okay? That muggles come up to me and ask me. And when I say muggles, we're normal people, I guess. I know a lot of people don't like the word vanilla. They think it means boring, which, by the way, for the record, vanilla is my fucking favorite. I don't know what it is, a classic vanilla ice cream. I do like chocolate, but I don't know, something about vanilla, I do love it. But, basically trying to talk about those that are maybe not a part of certain communities, like queer, trans communities, like sex positive communities, kinky communities, stuff like that. I get a lot of mostly sex questions. And I love it. I love it. I love questions. If you have questions, you can come to me. And I do have people come to me. I encourage it. I'm happy to answer a question here or there. If it is going to be something longer, like if we're talking an hour, I politely, gently request that there's some form of compensation because this is part of my job. I do work doing sexual education with education, consulting, coaching. I do a lot of private sessions with people who have a lot of questions, and I'm here for you. Okay. I got a user saying you sound fine. Thank you. I can hear myself, and I feel like it's very grumbly, but that's okay. Maybe it's sexy. Sometimes I feel kind of sexy when I have a raspy voice. And then we got another comment here. Vanilla bean is where it's at, and that's Mandy. I totally agree. I love vanilla, just saying. But anyways, yeah, a lot of people, a lot of at least my friends that I still have a close group of friends since high school. We've been a close little group for literally years, and we still talk. We have our chats on on the Facebook chats. We still talk every single day, and we try to get together. Our goal has always been once a month, but it doesn't always work out. And of course, with COVID, anyways, we do still talk and hang out. And they are Muggles. They're my Muggle friends, and I'm the I'm the one that they warn others about. Um, but yeah, I do. I'm very open about who I am and what I do, and I understand that not everyone can be out. So I try to use, I try to use my privilege, my ability to be out, to kind of be like a beacon of, hey, I want to help in any way I can. Feel free to ask questions. So I get a lot of Muggles asking me questions. If you have another word for Muggle that you've heard or that you really like, please throw it at me. Because I'm feeling the dating of on me of using the term muggle. It's like you can tell exactly what generation I'm from when I say muggle. I know a lot of people have said they really like that word. Let me know if you have another one. Oh, it is a sexy voice. Thank you. It's like the Friends episode where Phoebe gets sick and she sounds really great, or at least thinks she sounds really great when she's sick. Thank you. Um, so yeah, what do muggles ask me? And feel free to throw in the chat what muggles ask you, because I know some of you are also that person. The person at work where someone might be like, "Hey, do you know anything about do you know anything about anal?" I don't know people. I do know there are those, and I feel like that's actually where I do get a lot of clients are from word of mouth, where maybe there's somebody at work or a friend or family member that comes up to them with these questions, and they're like, "Let me give you Robin's information." Maybe that sounds maybe a lot more like a not just a one answer question. If it's something a lot more complicated or internal, I'm here for you. Um, so yeah, that's where I get a lot of my clients is by word of mouth. So don't hesitate to send them my way. BT Dubs, socials at Sex with Robin. So the things that people ask me, again, feel free to put them in the chat. Especially the last 3 or 4 years. It's hard to tell time anymore with COVID. I'm trying to include COVID. Especially the last, yeah, like 3, 4, even 5 years, a lot of muggles will come up to me and ask about pronouns. Um, and it's usually just like I've gotten a lot of, for example, the principal of my kid's school asked me about events. He's like, I've noticed, and in stores or at meetings where people have the stickers, or even um, like the name clip. Mine's not up here. Usually, my name will show as Robin Beach, and then I usually put the little parentheses she her. And they're like, usually the question the principal asked was, when should I be putting my pronouns, and when should I be encouraging others to use pronouns? Is it appropriate at a school meeting, for example, to have his name with he him on it? And so we talked about that, and I was like, oh, anytime. It's becoming a lot more mainstream. Um, if I don't know, if you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to. But honestly, if you do, others that might feel uncomfortable are going to be more likely to put their pronouns by their name. I've even just been doing it in my emails when I respond, especially if it's someone new that is contacting me for whatever reason, work related. And I'll reply back, and next to my name in parentheses, I'll have she, her. Here we go. Got a comment says, I say mainstream culture folks and alternative subculture folks instead of muggles or vanilla. Ooh, I like that. Mainstream culture folks, alternative subculture folks. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I like it. I like the mainstream culture because that's a very articulate. I like that. Um, so yeah, pronouns I get asked about. I get a lot of questions from I want to say femmes, women, those that are on the femme side of the gender spectrum coming up to me, and they ask a lot about anal. I get questions all the time, like, is it safe? Um, my husband's really interested in it, and I usually I'm like, well, are you interested in it? And you don't have to answer that. You don't have to tell me details. I try to be gentle, but I'll be like, hey, like, only do it if you're interested. And if you're interested, my quick advice is always take it slow. Like, really take it slow, take it easy as you start things up. Really, really, really take your time. Lots and lots of lube. And I always tell people to start with fingers. And and people ask, actually, here's another Muggle question in regards to anal: is should condoms be worn when you're doing anal? Um, and again, like, you are an adult if you want to do your own risk analysis on things and decide what risks you're willing to take, etc. I will still say, like, again, you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. Generally, I would recommend barriers for penetrative anal stuff. Just because, yeah, the rectum is full of all kinds of bacteria, and if you are using like a penis, for example, yeah, you could get some of that in your urethra. Make sure you have a pee afterwards. But, like, let's be real, the rectum has poop in it, or at least like little bits. That's where it goes through. There's a lot of bacteria in there. So, yeah, I usually say use barriers, and I do try to kind of say that it's a quick and easy thing to put a condom on or to have a glove on, because you could just take the glove off and your hands are good. Because I always recommend starting with fingers, just to ease your way into things. What are some questions you get? Because I know some of you, have you ever had someone come up to you, like, in the workplace with a sex question, and you're like, why are you coming to me? Like, how do they know? Is it an energy that we give off? I mean, for me in particular, I've always been very out and loud and proud. Um, so people do naturally come to me for the questions, but I know there are people where they're like, yeah, I always get the sex questions, and I'm not like out, but people come to me for the questions, and I'm like, that's awesome. Um, hopefully it's awesome for you. So yeah, questions. You know what? I'm finding that at the school here, I don't know why I'm pointing, like, you can see. I live right across from my kid's school. So I'm always pointing over there. Um, I'm not super, super out and loud at the school. Like, I'm out. The principal knows what I do. And there's a few parents. There's one parent in particular that asked me what I do. And I told her what I do. And she was like, oh, I have so many questions. And so, like, almost every day in the morning while dropping kids off or while waiting to pick up the kids at school, her and I will talk. She also has a wicked dog that's become like my best friend. But I love dogs. Anyways, so we have a lot of questions. She has a lot of questions that she'll bring up about her own kids, and stuff like that. And so I've seen, she introduced me to another parent and was like, hey, if you have any questions about sex, like, go to her. This is what she does. And so I was like, I'm not hiding who I am at the school. And I knew that people were going to talk, and I'm open to that. So as long as, like, this person that was recommending me to another parent, I'm like, that's better than, I think, me going like, hey, ask me about sex with your, yeah. Oh, we got to come in here. My doctor asks me questions. Do you mind sharing what questions? And I will share. Actually, I do have a story about things that my doctor has asked me. Um, but real quick, yeah, just saying, like, I do appreciate other parents coming to me for questions. And I get a lot of, what was one I got? I got one that was, I caught how old was he? like 10, 11-year-old, no, 11-year-old son looking up the word vagina. What do I do? And I said, well, what did you do? And, they had to talk about online stuff. And if you have questions, it's okay to ask questions. And she was obviously more afraid of what her kid was going to find on the internet when Googling vagina. And so she tried to offer herself as someone with questions. And she was like, I can even get you some books or something like that. And I was like, that's great. That's perfect. You're showing your kids that they can come to you for questions and trying to give them some alternative, I don't say alternative, just like other options. Cause obviously the internet, like you got to be careful what you Google and you don't exactly know what is going to be shown when you Google. And like, how many times have you Googled something that wasn't even a sexual thing and then a ton of sex stuff came up and you're like, whoa, okay, that's a kind of porn I didn't need to know about or I didn't know existed. um, excuse me. So yeah, I get a lot of questions like that, or I do get a lot of questions about gender in youth. Another mom recently asked me, she was like, um, my niece or nephew says that they're non-binary and asexual, and they're only 14. How can they possibly know? And we didn't have a lot of time because the school bell went off, and I was like, here's my number if you want to text me. I'll just say this. It's not your job to know what your kid is or to say you're too young to know what you are or who you are. And it might change because they're like, that's what I'm worried about. I'm like, okay, so what if it changes? If someone, regardless of age, says, I'm asexual or I'm pansexual or I'm queer or I'm whatever, okay. Accept that information. And if that changes, you accept that new information. People are always changing, and it doesn't matter how old you are. That was my short answer. Okay. Oh, so we've got a comment here. A therapist I had used to ask me questions all the time about polyamory, non-monogamy, and kink, all kinds of questions. Oh yeah, I fired him because I felt like I was paying to teach him. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for that comment because I feel like I have things to say on that. It's really exhausting. It's exhausting for um, you to see a kind of professional and you feel like you're having to explain everything and educate them when, especially like in therapy, that's not what you're supposed to be there for and that's not what you're supposed to be paying for. Um, so when you are searching for healthcare providers, if possible, what you might see on like websites or business cards is like, say, for example, it might say LGBTQIA2S plus familiar, or it might say um, aware. So familiar often means like they're open to it. They don't have a problem with it. They're a safe person, but they might not have all of the knowledge involved. Um, so they're like, oh yeah, I'm willing to, yeah, be open-minded. But what does that mean? And what does that mean? And what does that mean? And that might not be what you're looking for because that could take up a lot of your time. So, um, there's a difference between kink aware and kink familiar. Wait, I'm using that backwards. Sorry. Kink aware would be they're aware and accepting. Familiar means like they know this stuff. And honestly, that's where I get a lot of my clients. I am not a registered therapist. Um, so I do encourage my clients, if that's something that they need, to seek out. But I'm someone that you can talk to that does have psych training, but I'm not a registered therapist. But I am familiar with kink. I'm familiar with ethical non-monogamy. Um, I'm familiar with queer topics and issues. I am aware and somewhat familiar of a lot of trans issues. I'm also not trans, and to make sure, like, that's something that people are aware of, because I want them to feel safe. I don't want them, and people come to me because they're like, I don't want to have to explain all of this. And I'm like, yeah, we can talk. Who do you go to when you're a couple looking for maybe like couples therapy, and one, they're in like a daddy little 24/7 kink dynamic. Any conventional therapist is going to think that there's something wrong with that, or maybe want to explore that and see if you can fix it, or maybe there's a problem, and like, why would you? And I'm all like, cool, let's figure out how to navigate this relationship. How's your communication? So I just need some tea. I'm so sorry. So yeah, sorry for being sick. Okay, got more comments here. This is about the therapist. He asks about my bruises after I bought them. What things interest me about masochism and about implements? I tease him about being a sadist. He calls my involvement in alternative subcultures extracurricular activities. It could be considered an extracurricular activity, or it could be like a total lifestyle thing. So it depends how you view that. And yeah, I feel like you're explaining everything. You're basically educating your therapist in that sense. My therapist also wanted resources and supported me in my choices, although she wasn't part of NCSFKAP Directory of Kink Aware Therapists. Yes. So FetLife is really good for that, actually. There are threads where to find kink aware healthcare professionals, even like RMTs, therapists, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's basically what I would do. Is I would try to be like, here's some resources. For me, my therapist is quite familiar with all of my things, all the things you got to list off, as opposed to I couldn't have a therapist that was only aware, because again, I'm going to use terminology. I need to be able to just say what's happening, be able, and without having to explain every little bit of terminology that I'm using. That's exhausting, and I don't have time for that, and I don't have the money for that. You know what I mean? I'll share with you something my doctor has asked me. He's asked me lots of questions. Oh, my doctor, he's the sweetest guy. I do love him. If you see this, I love you. You know I love you. He calls himself square, which should say something, right? He's like, I'm a square guy. I'm an old square guy. He's definitely a white cis male boomer. And he's someone I would say is like mostly aware. Like, even being aware is like, he's aware of some things. He's definitely open-minded and isn't going to be judgmental. I'll never forget, back in the day, I was stripping and I was just there for a checkup, and I think it was summer, so I had shorts on and I had like bruises. Shout out to the strippers and people that do pole work. It is hard fucking work. Okay. I had bruises around the places that often strippers have bruises, which are actually around the knees, the inner thighs, and inside the arms, because that's where you're like holding with a pole oftentimes, and you're holding hard enough that yes, you'll bruise. There have been times when I'm like high up on the pole and I've like started to fall, and then you have to like grab. That will bruise. Oh, and it kills. Anyways, and so my doctor was observing, and I love the terminology he used. He said, I'm seeing organized bruises, which means like there's a pattern here. Like some of them were, bilaterally symmetrical. They're on same sides, both knees, similar bruises. You can tell that there's a specific placement. And healthcare professionals are designed to examine bruises and try to see where they have come from or what caused them. So over the years, you get really familiar. And so when you use the term like organized bruises, this is what he said. He said, I see you have a lot of organized bruises, but I don't recognize the sport, because a lot of athletes and people involved in sports and very physical extracurricular activities will have often organized bruises. But he's like, I don't recognize the sport. And I said, actually, I'm a stripper. And he was not expecting that. And he was like, Oh, okay. Well, you're keeping yourself safe and you're really healthy. So, like, he was just, didn't bother him. He's like, as long as you're healthy and keeping yourself safe, it's fine. More recently, I got a question from him. And because he, again, like, it started with the stripper thing. We can have these conversations. He's asked me questions. He knows that I'm a person that he can come to. And he said, I'm gonna I want to warn people listening that his phrasing wasn't great because he's quite unfamiliar with trans stuff. Okay, this was kind of how he phrased it. He said, I have two men, and they were a couple, and they came in, and they said that one of the men wanted to go off birth control so they could get pregnant, and I had no idea what that meant. It was really sweet. And yeah, so basically he's like, I don't understand. These are two men in birth control and pregnancy. What? And I kind of gently was like, okay, at least one of them definitely is still a man, but has a uterus. Hmm? And he was like, okay, so what do I do? And I was like, well, honestly, if you're really not sure and you're not able to do the research, maybe you should refer them to someone more familiar. But if you want to have a phone conversation, I can explain. And we did. And I explained a lot more of like um, the hormonal aspects of someone that is maybe taking testosterone or birth control or how pregnancy works. But I was like, you should refer them. And he did. But he was very fascinated and we had a nice discussion about it. Questions I get. And I was really glad that my doctor asked me about that because you could tell he had no fucking clue. Like none. None's the clue. And you could tell he was trying genuinely to be respectful and kind. That guy, man. I love him. So, questions that Muggles, or what was the term? It was mainstream culture folks. I like that one. Mainstream culture folks that might come up to you and ask in regards to sex, in regards to a lot of gender stuff, because that is becoming a lot more of a mainstream topic, which is a good thing. Obviously, there's more to do. And I do feel, again, as I said earlier on, I do feel that I have the I'm in a privileged position and I am okay with people coming up and asking me questions, so I'm open to that. And yes, it can feel like a lot of labor sometimes, but it's part of who I am and what I do. I do what I can for self-care. I so want to just like I want everyone to ask me questions. I want to keep this conversation going. It's why I do this show. It's why I do what I do. I'm constantly like, let's do better. We can do better, everyone. Seriously. Seriously, we can do better. But asking questions is where you start. Um, I I do get yeah, I get sex questions from like my Muggle friends, and even if they see this, even if it is like because I mentioned my little Muggle friend group since high school, we're still really close knit. We still talk every day. We still see each other when we can, and even though it is a very very safe group, I will have, and I do have confidential discussions with them one on one and be like, it doesn't, obviously, I'm not going to say any of this or give it away within the group. Anything you and I say together is between you and me. Um, so also family members. Okay. Does anyone have family members that ask you sex questions? I feel like I'm constantly encouraging my family to come to me for questions because, at least for me, this is a whole other thing. I don't I truly, honestly don't feel uncomfortable knowing that my family members have a sexuality and that they have sex. That's not weird for me, and it's so I get it if it is for you, where someone's like, I can't talk to like my mom about sex, or I can't talk to my siblings or whatever about sex. That's weird. I can't even think about them in that way. And I'm like, well, I'm not wanting to have sex with my family. I'm I know that they have sex. Like sex to me is like the most normal, natural thing. It's literally like our most one of our most primal instincts, right? Like it's so natural to me at this point that I'm just like, it doesn't weird me out to talk about using vibrators with my grandmother or something like that. That was just an example. That's not a real one, grandma. But it doesn't weird me out to think about that. I'm not fantasizing or wanting to do it, but I'm like, yeah, people have sex. Yes. Old people have sex. Yes. Your relatives have sex. Yes. Your kids, when they are old enough, ideally, are going to have sex lives, unless they're ace. But most people have some form of sexuality or sex life. And even ace is a form of sexuality. So um, it doesn't weird me out. And so I do have family that I talk to. Um, and this is one where is it weird? I don't think it's weird. My in-laws, Brandon's family, some of his cousins, siblings, aunts, uncles come to me and they're like, is it weird if I ask you a question? And I tell them, like, you get the family discount. You can come to me anytime. I have literally given one-on-one rope, bondage, whatever lessons to like cousin-in-laws, brother-in-laws, whatever. Like, and I tell them, I'm like, please use me because, and I do, I have what I call the family discount, for like literally family or really, really, really close friends or chosen family. I'm like, you get a family discount. Yeah, come on over. I'll teach you some stuff. And they're like, is it weird? I'll never forget the look on my chiropractor's face. He's like, we finish up, chiropractic session, and he was like, hey, so what do you got planned for the rest of the day? And he knows what I do, but obviously I don't want to make people uncomfortable. Okay. Like don't scare the muggles is one of my kind of, is mantra an appropriate word? Probably not. This is one of the things I live by. I want to be open, but I don't want to make people uncomfortable. But it just slipped out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm teaching my brother-in-law rope bondage. And he was like, what was that sentence? Like, he was like, there was so much of that sentence I didn't understand. And I was like, oh, hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable. So sorry, it kind of just slipped out. That's what I'm doing with the rest of my day. That's what I'm doing later. And he was like, no, I mean, I know that's what you do, but like rope bondage, like bondage with your brother-in-law? And I was like, yeah, is that weird? He was like, it's a little weird. And I was like, oh. It wasn't weird for me, and my brother-in-law at the time was like a little worried it would be weird, but like within as soon as he entered my house, it was like, oh, it's just us. I'm like, exactly. It's totally cool. Is it weird? Okay, people do think I'm weird. Okay, I know I'm weird. Would that be weird for you? Um, yeah, I think the only people I wouldn't want to show anything to is just somebody who I didn't think was a good person. And then I might actually even still be like, hey, maybe you can work on some of these things. I shouldn't block the mic and do this. um, even then, but yeah, unless they're like a super shitty person, and I was like really not okay with them. What do muggles ask you? I get questions from muggles all the time. And are you that person? Do you get people that come to you asking questions? I know that there are people out there like that. And if you don't know how to answer, you're not comfortable, feel free to give me my info, because it is very difficult to make me uncomfortable when it comes to anything sexual. I don't think it's possible at this point anymore. I don't think it's possible at this point anymore. I almost dare you. That could be a fun scene. Try to make Robin uncomfortable. No, 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 because there are people that would know actually how to do that. Do you want to know? No. I could tell you, actually. Tickling. I don't like being tickled. Do not like. Do not like being tickled. Here's a fun fact. I I don't like to lie to my kids, but I have them convinced I'm not ticklish, which I am. But I don't want them to tickle me. But I have also told them that I don't want to be tickled. But I've tried to trick them a couple times and be like, doesn't work, mommy's not ticklish. And I totally stole that from my mom, who did the same thing. She convinced me for years that she wasn't ticklish. And I found out later that she was ticklish. She just hates being tickled. I'm like, that's fair. They're your own boundaries. There's my social medias. And yes, I know I have not been very present on the social medias as of late. And that is, I'm going to blame mostly spring break on that one. Just because my hands were super full with the kids all the time. And also being out of town in the States again. It's crazy. It was amazing. I was so glad to be just somewhere else. Driving in the States again. Oh, I actually do want to bring up an event coming up that I'm going to be at. I am going to the States again in like 3 weeks. What are the dates? It's April 15th, I think. April 15th, yeah, 15th to the 17th. I'm going to be in Portland, Oregon. I am going to drive there. It's like a 6-hour drive for me. So it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be Kink Fest. I am teaching. Oh my God. I should have thought of that. What am I teaching? I have to work on that today. I'm teaching my squirting class. And I'm doing 2 more. And I don't remember what they are. I think I'm doing my pain processing for nerds, which is like talking about all the hormones and endorphins that go through your body based on different forms of pain and your physical state based on your emotional state. It's super nerdy, but like I try to keep it. I make handouts so people can take it home if it's a little too much terminology or too advanced for them. I give them little handouts. But oh, and my knife class. Oh, I'm so excited and I'm nervous now because I'm feeling rusty. And yeah, I'm going to be going back. This actually starting today. I know it's really late because it's only like 3 weeks or something until we go. But I'm going to be going through starting today some of my workshops that I already have. And I'm going to go over them again because, again, with COVID, it's been at least 2 years since I've presented any of my workshops. I've done a few online, but you know what I mean? Like, especially demo-based workshops. And every couple of years, I like to go through my workshops and kind of update them and improve them because things change. And anyone here can relate to going back on some of your old work and being like, ugh, oh no, I'm taking that out, changing it to that, because I'm also constantly trying to learn new things. And so I'm not perfect. And so I'm a little nervous to go back in my workshops to find anything that might make me cringe. But that's what I got to do. I got to change it and update things. And we'll see what my workshops were like before COVID. And yes, I will give a reason to why I've been procrastinating so much. It's because with COVID, I was like, however long ago it was that I was asked to do Kink Fest, and I was like, are we going to do a conference? Like, is that even possible? And I didn't want to get my hopes up. So I kind of just kept assuming it was going to be canceled. And now it's like a few weeks late. I'm like, I think it's actually going to go ahead. Shit, I have work to do. Oh, we got some more in the chat. Do you have a demo bottom for your knife play class? Yes, I do. I do have a demo bottom. I'm not actually. I won't say any names yet because I don't know what their openness is yet. But I have someone that will be in service to me that weekend that I'm so excited. I'm so excited for. And actually, if anything, I might need a demo bottom for squirting. I might. because I'm pretty sure the person that is going to be in service to me that weekend said that was one thing that they didn't feel confident to do in front of a crowd, which is fair. So I have a couple other people in mind that I was like, I can talk to them. And worst case scenario, excuse me, I'm gonna like dab my little runny nose. Oh, worst case scenario, and I've never done it, but I would. I will demo squirting on myself. I just need somebody to like show the anatomy and stuff, which the person that is going to be in service to me is going to be doing, allowing me to show different tips and tricks and stuff. It's like the actual squirting part. But yeah, more the merrier. I do, but yeah, for my knife class, I do have someone. But thank you. Ah, Kink Fest. I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. And that was actually something I want to talk more about next week, next Monday on Sex with Robin Split Radio, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And that's right after the Many Loves lunch hour on Split Radio. Highly recommend by Mandy. She's fucking amazing and hilarious. And I always listen to her show right before mine while I'm putting my makeup on. Next week, I want to talk about service in kink because, like I mentioned, I have somebody that is going to be in service to me that weekend. And what does that mean? And yeah, I get a lot of, there we go. Back to the topic of what Muggles ask me. There have been times when I've mentioned, oh, my girlfriend is more servicey, so it's more this. And they're like, wait, what? It's a term that a lot of Muggles might not be familiar with, to be in service or to be like a service bottom or a service top. What does that mean? Which of course can be a variety of things. I love service bottoms, service. I love service bottoms, because it's if anything, I feel like it would be one of my love language. It's one of the ways that I receive love really well. I'm like, it doesn't have to be, I'm not big on like extravagant gifts and everything like that. Honestly, if there's like little things you can do just to help make my life easier, maybe that sounds really selfish, but I get stressed and overstimulated. I have ADHD and I'm usually very manic. I'm bipolar. So I feel like I have a hard time with schedules. Talking to the person who's going to be in service to me at Kink Fest, I feel like they want more servicey things to do, so I'm going to find more things for them to do. But I was like, honestly, the biggest thing is keeping me on schedule. Keep me on schedule. I find that really, really difficult because I tend to get quite manic sometimes at events, and I'm scatterbrained as fuck. So yeah, keep me on schedule. If I've got a class in a couple hours and I haven't eaten yet, make sure I have something to eat, like that kind of thing. So I want to talk about service next week. Oh, we got a comment here. Squirting sounds fun. I think I will squirt when I demo bottom for fisting. Are you demo bottoming at Kinkfest for fisting? And who's teaching it? Please tell me more. Please tell me more. I need to know. Are you going to be at Kinkfest? Fisting. I did a fisting class at Kinkfest a while back, and it was a really fun class. So if I'm able to go to another fisting class at Kinkfest this year, I will attend. I will totally go. That's another thing that's hard about conferences when you're presenting is going to other things too. But anyways, I need to mention, of course, got to talk sponsors real quick. One Condoms. Huge fan of this company. Honestly, really believe in a lot of what they do. It's about size. Okay. There's like three, if you're lucky, 3 different sizes you can find in mainstream stores, which is bullshit. Imagine there's Mila Impola from One Condoms when she was here. She was like, imagine if there was only like 2 or 3 shoe sizes, we'd all be losing our minds. And I actually learned a lot about condoms, and even like the standard sizing of condoms is like really dumb. 7.5 inches long for a standard size condom, which that is not standard size. That is a lot longer, way longer than standard. And the extra large are longer, but barely any girthier. And the people that tend to need a bigger condom need more girth, not more length. It drives me bonkers. And I know, yeah, you can fit your whole arm in a condom. Yeah, you can put it over your head, but that kind of stretchability in condoms, that's designed for durability. It's not necessarily designed for the comfort. Like it can stretch, but it would feel very tight on you if it's too small. And it's okay not to have a condom that's too big either. So go to myonecondoms.com and you can get a custom size. You can either download their fit kit for free, you can measure yourself if you want, or you don't even have to measure yourself, and they'll just ask you a few questions about what condoms are typically, how the feel is and the fit is for you, and then they will give you recommended sizes. I cannot recommend My One Condoms more. Highly recommend. And of course they sponsor the show, but I wouldn't recommend something or have anyone sponsor me that I wasn't like, yeah, go do this. So I'm actually going to throw out Mandy's. She's got a promo code, Many Loves, for 15% off your custom size condom. And then last but not least, we've got adamandeve.com. They have tons of just stuff. Tons of stuff, sex-wise, toys, lubes, lingerie, anything you can think of essentially is there. So go check them out, and you can get 50 as in 50 as in half off almost any one item on the site using my promo code SWR plus free shipping in the US and Canada. I'm a fan. I still buy stuff constantly from there, especially if it's like now, and I use my own promo code now with my one item. So I'm like, okay, maybe something that's typically a bit more expensive, I can get half off plus free shipping, which makes a big difference, especially living in Canada. A lot of things have to ship from the States. So woo woo. Those are some of those sponsors for today. And so yeah, don't forget next week on Sex with Robin Split Radio. That's at 10 a.m. Fuck my brain. 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10 a.m. Robin time. 1 p.m. Mandy time, which is Eastern. Here on Split Radio, all my socials, you can check me out, Sex with Robin. You can also, so ways to help support me and what I do, help support this channel, help support my work, because I try really hard to be financially accessible. So if you're wanting like private sessions or anything like that, it's all pay what you can. And if finances are difficult for you, I'm even open to like skill shares and stuff like that. Again, like I said, I need servicing people in my life. There are things in my life. If you're like, what can I do to make your life easier? And I'm like, I got something for you. I'm willing to trade. So yeah, I'm also open to skill trade and stuff like that. Yeah. If you are even just wanting to donate, I have what's called Donate by the Dollar. That's on my website. Oh, sexwithrobin.com. Sorry, I'm cringing because please forgive me. The site is under construction right now. I really got to finish that up. I've got a lot of work to do now that spring break is over. I got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to go because I also have some clients and I got to work on my website. But if you go to sexwithrobin.com, there is a Donate by the Dollar button. So you could literally donate like $1, or you just turn the items up if you want more dollars. Word of mouth is also really, really good. So if you just tell others about who I am, what I do, send them my way, recommend the show, share, whatever it is. I'm not going to be like and comment and share. Ugh, sorry, I know. But word of mouth works well. And I love you. I support you. Next week, we're going to talk about service in BDSM. And enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. And if your family or loved ones don't understand or support you, I'm your new family now. Love you. Butt plugs, dildos.